So I'm 26 years old, almost 27, and I have never been in a serious relationship. I never had a boyfriend, never been married. Even both my proms, I went to both of my proms by myself. I was never asked out, on a date to prom or anything like that. And this could be a red flag about me, but it just was never the right time. I just have never had anything go past the talking stage. It's just been like guys who either just didn't want to commit to me or it just didn't work out. So yeah, like even getting asked out on a date, like I haven't, like until recently, like I've never been asked out on a date before.
Show a little respect. So how many men have you slept with?
Oh, I got a question for you, sister. You're 26 and you've never had a boyfriend. So what exactly is your body count? Is that particular number anywhere near the number of boyfriends you had? I'm willing to bet that particular number is significantly higher. And if that's the case, well then you've already proven why men won't take you seriously. I mean, your chief argument to how hard you have it in life was drama that happened to you in friggin' high school, which was literally a decade ago. Oh, nobody asked you to the prom? Well, why the hell didn't you ask anybody yourself, sister? Wake up and smell the 21st century. It's the era of gigapets and members-only jackets. You should be showing your strength and independence by telling men that you are interested in them. What's the problem with that? Well, we already know the issue why. You said it yourself. You can't get a man to commit to you, which implies that you made up for your lack of boyfriends by increasing the numbers of situationships, flings, and hookups. And I hate to break it to you, sister, but there isn't a self-respecting man out there who's willing to put up with that kind of behavior.
For a while, I used to be upset about it because I was like, I feel like I'm missing out on something because, I never really experienced the whole like being in a relationship, and it's just a portion of my life that I supplement with friends and other things. My whole life, I have been single. I've never experienced the feeling of being in a relationship, having a boyfriend. I remember I talked about this when I was 19 and now I'm almost 27 talking about it. The situation still hasn't changed. So it's kind of good because it scares off people that aren't serious about me. But I do wonder sometimes like what it would be like to have a boyfriend. Like, I don't know, like I've never experienced it.
That's not my problem. It's yours.
Woman, unless your excuse falls into profoundly tragic circumstances, then you have virtually no reason as to why you've never gone out on a date before. When you're young, you have every advantage that you need when it comes to getting a man. You're young, you're fertile, you have a low body count, pretty much everything a man could want. And regardless of whatever complaint you have, it does not matter. There are plenty of men out there and you could have easily picked yourself one up. Now, we all know that your excuses are dumb. If you had a tragic backstory, you would have led with that for sympathy points instead of complaining about never going to prom. So the reason why you don't have a serious relationship right now is because of your blatant social ineptitude. You ignored the average man or shunned them away into the cold, dark doldrums of your friend zone while you constantly gave passes to the attractive man that you thought you deserved. And after fumbling so much, herein lies your reward, sister. A life of never getting past the first date and the privilege of being able to continue to complain about never having a boyfriend because you never will.
You blew it. Capiche?
Guys, where are all the hot people? Like, I'm being so for real. Like, where are the hot people? And not like a cute, like, The Office, like, sound effect, like, oh, where are all the hot people? No, I'm, like, genuinely asking, like, where are the attractive men? I just caught myself smiling at my phone at a TikTok of an attractive guy. Smiling at my phone. And then I had to step back and go, how deprived are you of seeing an attractive guy?
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
Lady, the only thing that you're deprived of is reality. You live your life in a slew of TikTok videos, Instagram posts, and movie clips of shirtless actors because you lack the attention span to watch anything that's longer than 3.5 minutes. Now, those men, who I can only assume are, for all intents and purposes, built like Spartan gods, are incredibly rare, which is why you don't see them out in the wild very often. But you have consumed so much of this crap that it's warped your tiny ass brain into thinking those men are the norm and the average everyday men are somehow the minority, even though the average everyday man makes up the majority of the population of men. Now, it's left you frustrated to the point where you'll damn near do anything to look at a guy, which, okay, fine. Go to a male strip club. There's plenty of dudes like that there, and if you pay them, they might actually give you a little bit of attention to boot. So, problem solved. No need to thank me. I'm just trying to get you to shut up about your delusions.
And I don't know if this is like where I live or like what I'm doing, but like I cannot tell you the last time I saw a guy in person and I was like, oh wow, like I hope he approaches me or we make eye contact or whatever. Literally eye contact? That's how bad it's getting? So like I don't know if it's like a me thing or if it's like our generation. I'm 23. I know I look younger, guys, but I'm literally 23. Like I need like something. Like I'm just sitting here like totally speechless because I'm really trying to think back to the last time I saw a guy and I was like, oh wow, I can't think of one. Is this just me?
Jesus H, tap dancing Christ on a pogo stick. You're 23? My God, woman, what have you done to yourself? You're acting like a 31-year-old broad and you look as such, meaning you're freaking out over something that's completely absurd. Those types of men that you're talking about make up literally less than 1% of the total male population, and you want them to make eye contact with you? Lady, those dudes don't even orbit around the dumps you hang out. They have their own spaces because they are that rare. Meanwhile, you're openly bashing the remaining 99% of men for not being beautiful enough for you. You've already set yourself up for failure as it is, and trust me, sister, that's one department where you don't need any help. The only thing that will satisfy you is a straight-up underwear model, but you're forgetting a key detail. If a man is truly built like that, then he has his pick of the litter with women. And I hate to break it to you, sister, but if that man decided to choose the runt of that particular litter, she'd still be way hotter than you.
Sick burn.
So people always ask me if I want a rich husband, and here is my honest answer. I'm open to two different options, and these two options only. Either A, you would probably need to be close to rich. Rich is also subjective because what's rich to you may not be rich to me, but somebody definitely financially well off and that can afford to provide a nice lifestyle for me. I'm open to having a husband who does not provide 100% for me and is not super rich.
Aren't you lying? No. In fact, aren't you a liar? No more questions, Your Honor.
Oh, come on, woman. There isn't anybody who's asking you if you want a rich husband. That's like asking people if they want free vouchers for unlimited free bowling. Even if they don't like bowling, they're still going to take it. Now, we all know you want a rich husband, but what I find interesting here is how you think you hold any power over this man. You like to think that these so-called options you're presenting are somehow going to be considered by this man, but nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, think about it. This man has money, and you don't. This man has everything you could ever possibly want, and you don't. And this man has options, and you most certainly don't. So why would he even entertain your so-called options about what kind of a lifestyle you think you deserve? It really doesn't work that way. If a rich man's going to let you into his life, you better damn well be ready to provide something and make yourself a viable option for him. Because he's the one with the power here, honey, not you.
However, he would have to be fully supportive. He would have to accept my job and be fully supportive of it. So I'm either going to grow and build a life with someone who isn't rich. He can't be broke, and he has to have like some goals. He has to be motivated and driven.
Like, people talking, you say, huh? What are you talking about?
I'm not going to just date like an absolute bum, but I would be open to dating someone who maybe didn't want to provide 100% and wasn't super rich.
And you get a reaction from people who say, huh? What are you talking about?
Okay, so you're only willing to be with a man who's slightly rich if he's totally willing to put you up on a pedestal and support your career choices, which in all honesty, I have no idea what those are. I checked out your channel, and imagine my surprise when I found out that you were not, in fact, a spice miner. So I can only assume that your so-called career would revolve around life coaching, relationship advice, or some kind of social media marketing, all of which are completely worthless to society, mind you. But that's only if he's under a certain threshold of income. Now, we all know that means your bare minimum for income for a guy is the crazy quote-unquote reasonable salary of $100,000 a year. But that's what you consider to be the average salary, and that is your idea of compromising. Anything less than that, you consider an income commanded by a broke guy who lacks motivation to make more money to buy you things so you can pretend to care about him. So regardless of your preferences, what you're saying is completely meaningless because it's not based in anything that can even remotely resemble reality.
But he would have to be like my number one supporter, make my life better, a lot of emotional support. Mistakes I've made in the past is dating guys who were neither of the two. Like, he didn't support my job, but yet he didn't provide for me. So, like, that's never gonna fly again. So I'm open to marrying someone who is not super rich. I'm not just chasing a rich man. But those are my two options.
Liar, liar, your pants on fire.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, you were in a situationship with a guy who didn't support your idea of trying to make TikTok your career and wasn't providing for your lifestyle. But I am feeling uncharacteristically generous today, and I'm gonna go ahead and upgrade that scenario to a full-on committed boyfriend. It's not like it matters, because it's the same thing either way. Even if this dude was your boyfriend, why should he financially provide for you while you're trying to make this ethereal career of yours happen? Like, what's he expected to do here? Let you move in with him as you constantly sit around on your phone and make videos? You're going to do that regardless of where you sleep, so why should he pay your rent for that particular privilege? You're not giving these men any reason to support you. You're just expecting it because you exist, but that's not how it works, sister. You actually need to provide something to a man if you want him to provide something to you in return, and no, your less than average view counts on your stupid TikTok videos don't count.
Good, but I would say it's horrible yet terrible. Ugly yet disgusting. You suck.
So my boyfriend and I moved in together like 8 months ago, and I swear every day I discover new things, not about him, but like about living with a boy in general. I did not grow up with brothers, so there's been a learning curve. So last night for dinner, I made Italian food, and I made eggplant parm, and then I made 14 meatballs, and I purposefully made a lot of food so that we would both have enough food for leftovers for lunch today. And he doesn't eat lunch until he gets home at like 3.
And here we go.
Woman, I'm about to give you a nickel's worth of free advice here. If you're in a committed relationship with somebody, then you can refer to that man as my boyfriend or my man, but you should never refer to that man as a boy, because he's not a boy. He's a full-ass grown adult. He owns the house, he owns his own car, he pays his own bills, and tolerates your pathetic attempts at emasculation. It also implies that you're somehow more superior or more mature or just all around better than this guy, as you are a woman and he is just a boy. You don't get to make that distinction, especially when you feel the need to complain about petty things on TikTok. And also acting like men are these incredibly strange creatures that are impossible to figure out is just kind of insulting, because in reality, most men are not that complicated. But you can't accept that, which is why you feel like every single thing a man does is this fascinating discovery into the mysterious world of men. Which is also pretty insulting, especially when you're trying to unnecessarily put this guy on blast over something as meaningless as leftovers.
So I know he hasn't eaten any today. I just checked the fridge because I was like, oh, like I'll have 2 meatballs before I head out the door. I made 14. I had 3 last night. They're all gone. There's none left. This man ate 11 meatballs in one sitting. They weren't huge, but they also weren't small. Is this normal? That is a lot of beef.
Oh, poor you.
Well, to answer your question, woman, sometimes it's normal, sometimes it's not. But considering you're a modern woman, that must mean that this man must be both financially successful as well as well-built. So it stands to reason that he's going to need a significant amount of protein in order to keep his physique to your standards. Plus, he's also burning a lot more calories than you, so yeah, he's going to be eating more. But that's not the issue here. The issue is that you seem to be more upset that he didn't leave you any meatballs for lunch. Now, I have no idea if you communicated your leftovers sleepovers plan with your man, but considering that you refer to this guy as a boy, then it stands to reason that telepathic is your preferred form of communication. And instead of having a mature adult conversation with this man, you posted on TikTok where you're going to get a whole bunch of bitter broads who are going to tell you to break up with them because he wants to watch you starve because he ate a whole bunch of meatballs. And odds are, you're going to listen to them more than you'll listen to your man because you respect the opinions of strangers more than you do your own boyfriend. Just want to take a moment to give some well-deserved recognition to the fine members of the Bounty Board over on Patreon for their continued support of my work as I get content out to you fine gentlemen and gents every single day, and I appreciate the support. All hail! And if you're interested in supporting the channel, check out the Bounty Board over on Patreon, where for $5 a month, you can get access to exclusive content you're not going to find on YouTube. And of course, you can always support the channel by liking this video, sharing, subscribing, and doing all of the things. There's more than one way to give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm, and I appreciate the support, gentlemen and gents.
Hey men, this video is for you. So I had a very uncomfortable interaction with a man yesterday, and it was uncomfortable for him too. So let's talk about it and let's learn from it. So I was shopping at a mall alone, and I quickly realized that I was being followed by a man because I noticed him staring at me, but I didn't think twice about it because I just thought he was staring in my direction, not at me. But then when I noticed he started following me around the store, that he was actually following me. So I decided to leave the store, and the goal was to get to the security kiosk just to be like, hey, I think I'm being followed. Can I just stay here until he leaves, sort of situation.
And
Lady, I'm already finding this story to be incredibly difficult to believe. Now, if we're taking your story at face value, you're saying that there was a man who was following you and stalking you in broad daylight in a shopping mall. Now, you're also assuming that this man is staring at you, and you're practically pinky promising that this is the case, which is awfully convenient that whether or not these things happen, it's always a creepy man who just so happens to be staring at you, even though you provide no evidence for this. There's no video, considering you'll take video of everything, that's kind of telling, and there's no pictures. You can't live your life without taking endless amounts of selfies, so again, it's not really working out in your favor, and there's no real proof to show that what you're saying is genuine. And even though what you're saying is true, then what's the freaking problem? It's daylight hours in a shopping mall. A man would have to be monumentally stupid to try to abduct you in such a way, and it's pretty much come to the point where an unattractive man can't even so much as be in the same vicinity as a modern woman without her freaking out over how he's clearly stalking her with the intent on doing her harm. Really does make a man feel good.
But I didn't make it out of the store because I heard running coming up from behind me and a man yelling, excuse me, and it was him. And this scared me because I don't like being chased ever. It like triggers a fight or flight response for me, and for most people it probably will too. So learning lesson 1, don't chase after anybody, especially don't come up from behind because that's super scary. Then he didn't introduce himself. He went straight into a conversation. He said, excuse me, I saw you in the store. Are you a student around here? And this was weird because the man didn't introduce me, like he didn't say his name. He didn't ask for my name. He asked if I was a student.
smelly fish. And it's not a cod.
If there's one thing I cannot stand about these women who feel quote-unquote unsafe around men is how they will use an incredibly doctored experience that is in no way the complete truth to try and insinuate that all men are somehow stupid idiots who need to be trained on how to treat other people. Now, it is impossible to determine how much of what this broad is saying is actually genuine, but I also find it hard to believe that an older man would literally run after a woman after she leaves the store in broad daylight unless there is some reason behind it. And woman, if he's trying to get your attention by speaking to you, then he's not chasing you. He actually has something to say. Now, we will never know what his intent was because you're clearly leaving out details. It's kind of hard to imagine a scenario where some random dude would do that unless there was some form of a purpose. Now, I am not saying that this didn't happen the way you claim. I'm just saying that I find it awfully convenient that this man did every single thing wrong, and you're using it as a means to lecture us as if we're nothing but a massive pack of incompetents.
he was pushing 55. And I think that's weird because it gave me like predatory vibes because he was looking at me, following me, then he ran up from behind me, didn't introduce his name, strictly went into like, are you a student? And I didn't like that. Maybe I'm overthinking this situation, and I could be, but I introduced myself by name. I told him I wasn't a student, but I was actually leaving the store, and I appreciated him to come up to introduce himself, but I had to leave. And he was very polite, and he's like, okay, yeah, I figured. And that was it, and I left. And I made sure he wasn't following me before I left the shopping plaza. Now, learning moments. Don't run after people, don't follow people, don't start a conversation without introducing yourself. It can come off as rude. And don't lead with age, because it can be weird if there's a big age gap.
That's stupid. You're stupid. Stop being stupid.
Lady, what you're listing off is effectively things that self-respecting men don't really do. We don't follow you. We don't talk to you. Hell, we don't even look at you because every single thing we do is looked at with nothing but contempt and suspicion. But woman, I can already tell you that you're blowing this way out of proportion. You know how I know this? Because you're recording this stupid video in a freaking parking lot. You clearly feel safe enough to record yourself complaining about a situation that seems suspect and over-embellished, and yet you feel safe enough to do it in public where multiple people are going to look at you to see what in the hell it is you're doing. So you can't just say that men make you feel unsafe when you intentionally put yourself in a position of vulnerability when you record these videos in your car. Men don't need to be lectured on what you have to say because you have absolutely nothing of value to add to the conversation. You're pretty much saying that men shouldn't be creepy, and that effectively means they shouldn't interact with you in any way, shape, or form, which is something we've already been doing for years. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and make sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.